Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle Show, where we love to inspire and educate the community to live more healthily, more balanced and feeling more fulfilled in life. And today for our first guest we have Michael Clark, who's a medical intuitive, and today he's talking to us about naturally healing medical conditions. So Michael, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Before I go into about naturally healing medical conditions, I feel it's very important to understand the 5 critical energies and the 6 stages of disease. So when I talk about the 5 critical energies, these energies are within the body and they're outside the body as well. And these critical energies are nuclear energy, electrical energy, radiant energy, chemical energy, and mechanical energy. Now, we have different diseases and disorders based on where the imbalance is in the energies in our system and around us, in our environment as well. And what happens is, if we get too much of an energy, it starts to accumulate in what I call its home within the body, and then it can move. This is the first stage of disease, right? And then the second stage is where that energy starts to put pressure on that organ or that part of the body, and then it moves into a spread. This is where it starts to spread through the body, and then it starts to isolate into weak areas of the body, within the body. And that's what I call the isolation stage. That's stage 4 in the disease process. Stage 5 is the manifestation stage, and this is where most people start to feel and see symptoms, yeah? And this is when it's really isolated into a tissue within the body and really starting to take over that tissue, and that's why we start to see the symptoms. And then the 6th stage, which is the destruction stage and the disease stage, is when the energy starts to really take over the whole body and starts to, really take control of the whole body. So the reason I want to share those energies and those processes and stages of disease is because it's very important to understand how you can heal medical conditions naturally. Because when you understand the stage of disease that you're at, you are then able to meet the energy where it is at in the stage of disease and move it back through the layers and through the stages of disease to bring the body and the being of the person back into balance and back into alignment.
Okay, could you, for our viewers, could you give us some examples of how you've seen changes in people with medical diseases?
Definitely. So I know of a lady who had breast cancer, right? So that'd be the 6th stage of disease. Now, breast cancer is related to excess nuclear energy in the body, yeah? And what this lady did, she went out and did simple natural process to support bringing that nuclear energy and the whole energies in the body back into balance, and then also to step out of the disease stage and back to a place of alignment and back to a place of being in tune with herself. Now, all she simply did was change nutrition. So she changed what she was putting into her body. She changed her environment. So she was working in a very busy environment. She stepped out of that work environment. She changed what she was doing daily. So she wasn't pushing all the time. She started to relax and gave herself more time. And the last thing she did was she sat beside a tree each day and literally sat there with her eyes closed and said, "I love you cells, I love you cells, I love you cells." Did that for an hour each day. Within 3 months, she was able to move beyond what was diagnosed as stage 4 breast cancer to the point where people would couldn't believe it had happened. They seen it and believed it was a miracle.
Just for our viewers, you mentioned nuclear stage. Could you explain what the nuclear part of it means for them?
So nuclear is a nuclear energy, yeah? So we've got 5 different energies in the body, yeah? A nuclear energy, if we want to make it as simple, is basically space in the body. So nuclear energy is the space that we have in our body, and what happened is she had too much nuclear energy, which created so much space in her body, which is what created the breast cancer.
So if you were to give us, if you have some tips for our viewers, what would your top tip be for them for today?
So the top tip for me would be first to understand your body, because no one knows your body like you do. So allow yourself to understand your body and just listen in and connect with your body. Yeah, when you listen in and connect to your body, it can create massive shifts for yourself, but you can also understand your body and yourself better to then be able to heal medical conditions naturally. because no one understands or knows your body like you know your body.
How would you explain that, tuning into your body and reading those signs?
For me, the way to do that, I feel, would be just to find a quiet space by yourself, relax, and just simply close your eyes, connect into your body, and just ask your body, what do you need to tell me now? What do you need to share with me now? And just listen into those answers.
So is that that's a great deal about trusting, isn't it? Trusting that first thing that comes, and I guess there's a bit of people trusting themselves to have the answer. Would you say that's where that comes from?
It's all about trust in self. And as part of that is, if you sit with your body and ask it the questions, you're always going to get an answer. And what I suggest is just don't judge that answer, just always have confidence and write that answer down or listen to that answer. Even if it feels really weird and awkward and different, just give it a go, because I guarantee your body knows.
Thank you, Michael. And for more information on Michael Clark and naturally healing medical conditions, then please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Welcome back, and now we have Steve Hall with us, part of the series on living a life of value and meaning. And next he's talking to us this time about identity and uniqueness. Steve, what is identity?
Well, it's many things, Linda. Some people, when you ask them, what's your identity, they might think that you're talking about, their passport or their license. They might show you, who they're told that they are. But it's way more than that. Like, we've got many identities. You could have an identity as being a parent. You could have an identity as what you do at work. All your different roles in life. We've got many identities, and it's not really who we are. Identities are the things that we do, the things that we belong to and perform. So we have many different identities in life. And why it's important to know about identities is to understand what we're doing, as opposed to identifying with our identity and thinking that's who we really are, right? So you figure out who you are. When I got home from work in my corporate role, the first thing I did when I got home was take my uniform off, because I didn't really feel like I was myself until I got dressed in my own clothes. Then I felt more who I was. I stopped being that identity at work and I became the identity of who I was at home. It's a lot like Michelangelo's statue of David, right? There's this beautiful sculpture of David, and it really comes to life when you're looking at it. And Michelangelo once got asked, how did you create such a beautiful work of art? And he said, well, I don't think I did that. I just chiseled off the bits of stone that didn't belong to David. I just let him out. I released who he was. He was in there inside the block of stone. And our identity is a lot like those bits of stone. They're stuck all over us, and they really cover up who we are sometimes. We stop seeing the person in the core, who we truly are, that special uniqueness that we bring, when we are being ourselves.
So that now that you've mentioned so why is that important to find that our uniqueness?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand the uniqueness that we have. What makes us special? What do we bring to the world? Because everyone brings something unique that only you can bring. You're being who you can be, and you're releasing that special thing that's inside yourself, so that other people can see you as well. And that's what other people see and connect with. We don't really connect with what people do and the different identities they're performing so much as the person. But inside our own head, sometimes we get caught up with being the identity in life, and we lose track of who we really are. And some people still to this day won't know what we're talking about in this subject. Well, I know who I am. I look in the mirror, there I am. No, it's something deeper than that. It's the sense of belonging and the sense of who am I really? Like, how would you describe yourself to somebody else? Normally when you ask a person that question, they'll describe their identities, what they do in life or what they've achieved or what they're worth. They don't really describe who they are. And it's a really difficult question to answer when you start thinking about it. You know, who am I really? It's such an important question, because if you really want to find out what your purpose is in life, how to live the best life that you can possibly live, really need to understand who you truly are in the core of you, or otherwise you don't have a beginning or a starting point. You know, you'll be sort of lost. You'll be living a life that's not authentic.
So you mentioned purpose. That's a valid point. So the purpose, what would you say that meant for someone as part of that uniqueness?
Yeah, purpose is aligned with your uniqueness, definitely, because when you understand that special bit that you bring to the world that they see, when you connect with that, and that's where you can extrapolate, you know, from that you can imagine, well, how can I really bring this to life? And what do I love doing to bring that specialness to life? And that creates purpose in everything we do. And it's a bit like, you know, we're talking about identity and uniqueness. Well, you can bring your uniqueness to your identity, but you can't take your identity to your uniqueness. So what I mean by that is bringing your uniqueness to all those different roles that you have in life, a parent, what you do, etc. When you bring that uniqueness, that special essence of who you truly are, all of a sudden you do all those identities with passion, and it starts meaning something. You know, you start bringing the best of yourself out and putting them in what everyone else sees, and it really escalates your life. It's the beginning of living a truly extraordinary life over just living a life where you're filling the identities, if that makes sense.
So what would be some advice that you could give to our viewers as a sort of a first step towards?
Yeah, this is good. I'll relate it to, I read a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And there was a line in that I highlighted, and it just keeps coming back time and time again when I think about this. And it was, take the sticker off your forehead that says, I want you to like me, and put it on the mirror where it belongs. And that was really deep. I related to that. But still, I could look in the mirror and I could understand what I was meant to see, but the way I found really getting a true picture of who I was to ask people I loved, you know, what do you see? What is it about me that you like? And I tell you what, this is such a good exercise. I recommend it to anyone. When you hear what people actually think of you, it really is quite humbling, but it lifts you up, and you start identifying with the good things about yourself rather than consciously putting yourself down for all of the things that you notice that you're doing wrong. And you start hearing how you're expressing yourself in life, and you can bring more of that. Once people tell you, you can amplify it and work on that.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome, Linda.
And we'll be back another time with you talking on another amazing topic. Any more information on Steve Hall and living a life of value and meaning, and particularly with identity and uniqueness, then please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back. And now we have Pauline Rooney back with us, our Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author. And today the topic is chair yoga. So Pauline, welcome.
Thanks, Linda. It's lovely to be back.
And chair yoga, how is that? What does chair yoga entail?
That's a really great question, and it's something that many people get confused about and wonder if it's the same or, well, it's not the same, but it is. That's a bit of a contradiction. If you can do a posture on the floor, you can do it in a chair. And the advantage of doing yoga in a chair is you might have had an injury, you might not feel like getting onto the floor, you may not have the space to get onto the floor, or you might be a little bit more gorgeous in years, so therefore you're unable to get onto the floor. But yoga is all about the three. It's the breathing, it's the posture, and it is the mindset. So therefore, if you can have those three on a mat, you can have those three on a chair. It's very simple to do the same types of things. If you do a back bend on a mat, you can do a back bend on a chair. And it's a matter of same principle. You lift, you extend your spine, and you take your sternum back. A back bend's not leaning back. It's lifting and leaning the spine backward. So therefore, we can do that on a chair. We can do our spinal twists on a chair, just like that. You'd always do it to both sides. Even to the triangle poses in the standing, we won't stand, but you hang on to your chair. I'm a great believer in safety, Linda. If you're on wheels, you must lock them down or have your chair very secure. Safety's paramount. So you'd come out the side of your chair, checking the shoulders not up, that it's down, and you'd ease out like that. Now that's a lateral or a side bend to your spine. Same as on the floor. You do that on both sides, you see. So it keeps the body moving. Any movement is good movement. We don't just do the movement and forget about our breath and our mind application to it. So we would say breathe in and turn and breathe out, and then breathe naturally, and then breathe in and coming back, and then breathe out. So your breath movement is the same on the mat as it is in a chair. Forward bends, we can bring the legs out a little bit and stretch our spine. You'd never arch up because you wouldn't do that on the mat. So you extend and you come forward. Ankle work. How often have we heard, oh, my ankles are weak and I find it hard to balance or to walk? In your chair, circle your ankles. You'd go both ways and you'd do both ankles, and just that very gentle movement, that will help. The other one that I really like for bone density, hands back on the chair, right foot always slightly forward, and that has to do with the positioning of lifting. When you see people standing, they often come forward and lift like that. That's too much strain. So by putting that foot forward, holding your chair back, you lift from there. It's a straight lift. You can come straight up to stand. But that's enough work. Even if you're unable to lift, you can still push like that. You're still getting the bone density work in your arms. So it's a matter of modifying, but creating the same outcome. It's the outcome, it's the intent, your breath, your mindset. Again, you keep your mind focused. If you're on the mat, you're internalizing what you're doing, your breathing, your posture, your alignment. It's exactly the same on the chair. You're not thinking about anything else. You're really working into that body part. The other one, we often hear people say, oh, but what about our heart rate, the cardiovasculars? We've got that covered in chair yoga and mat yoga. And I like to call this a tushy swoosh, because we're going to hang on and swoosh our tushy from side to side. Slow is great, or you can go quite fast. You're safe because you're not standing up and what have you, and your cardiovasculars will pump along quite nicely. So there's many of those types of things. You can hang onto your chair and move your feet back and forward. Again, that is fantastic for the ankles, the knees, the hip, also the abdomen, because you're lifting to bring your legs out, so that's working there too. There's many, many things we can do in that chair. All of these will help us in balance, and we all know that we need to balance when we're on our feet. So lifting the leg and extending and swinging back like that, you're strengthening your hip joint area, and therefore, of course, that helps when you stand up, the strength in the hip joint.
So I suppose with people especially with ongoing over the last several years, with more work being done on computers, from work from home, online, no matter what the age group, I suppose that this is something that people can think about when they're having even during the work.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. This covers right across the range. Children, they're on games, and the average time for children under the age of 16 is 8 hours, And that's a lot of screen time on top of their schooling time, right? And then I think at 16 and over it becomes 15 hours and more. That I'd be very conservative in saying that. And if they're gaming or chatting to friends, they too can do this. And they don't even realise that they're doing something great for their body. You know, it's really important. And I must say, I notice that both of us smile. And that's a really good thing to do too, because it takes about 16 muscles to smile and 32 to frown. So it's very harsh on the face if you're frowning a little bit too much. So smiling is good. It also changes the mindset, right? So if you're feeling a bit sad and you're sitting there feeling, I'm sad, it doesn't do the mind, the body any good, Linda. So a big smile and a big breath and a little movement will change your day completely. It's really important. And teach our children to do these things. If they can learn at a very early age that it's simple to do, because they're busy. We're all busy. We don't always have time to get onto the mat every day. We might go to a class, but if we do something every day in the chair, we would notice a huge difference. It'd be fantastic.
What would your best advice be for people could take with them today?
Oh, the best tip I could give is what I call juicing up your knees. And our knees get stiff and sore. This one, you blow into your hands, rub them, have your fingers down because that helps to warm up more quickly. Warm them up, cup your hands. We just have the lightly over there, and it's like a figure eight lying down, and we move our knees around like that about 7 times. That's all you need to do, and then go back the other way. And I can pretty much guarantee you're going to find a huge difference in those knees. They're going to love you so much for juicing them up. It's amazing. If you're in the garden or sitting, anything like that, it's fantastic.
Wonderful. Thanks, Pauline.
You're very welcome.
And we'll be back next week with more amazing guests. But in the meantime, for more about Pauline Rooney and yoga for wellbeing, and particularly chair yoga, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And we'll see you next week.